Hello everybody and welcome back to a brand new episode of our NASCAR Heat 5 career mode. I hope you're all having a great day. We are coming off of, well, a shocking victory for the second time this season. Last episode in Iowa, nobody saw it coming. I didn't see it coming, and like I titled the last video, you had to see it to believe it because you wouldn't even have thought we would have gotten a top 10 with how that race was going, and we managed to pull it off. We fast forward straight into the next race, though, here on the roads of Road America for our third road course race of the season here now, as I like to do the little behind the camera for the road courses specifically, because it actually looks like I'm doing something on the wheel instead of the ovals. On NASCAR Heat 5, it doesn't really look like I'm doing much here, but of course trying to bank up our win in Iowa, where I felt like really turned the corner last episode. We had that bit of a moment in Kentucky where we looked really stupid, and then last episode, you know, we stayed calm, we just let things play out, and it turned out to be great for us in the end in getting that victory. Now, Alex Bowman really helped us, keeping Larson and Blaney both back, because those two drivers were definitely quicker than I was at the end of that race. But a big shout out to my former team, Colleague Racing, and Alex Bowman for saving me there. Now, what wasn't saving me was my lack of talent here in qualifying. Actually, a big mistake in qualifying right there, and you see the disappointment on my face in that one. And we still get the car going and at least continue with the lap, although now it's not going to be a great qualifying effort. But round the final turn down this front straightaway to the line, it's going to be a ways off the goal time by about 2 seconds nearly, but still, to my surprise, top half of the field, P20, as Shane Van Gisbergen, no surprise there, on pole over William, Byron, Reddick, Larson, Elliott. 300 cars in the top 5. The usual suspect of LaJoie way further down the order, as you see the rest of the finishing order. Ryan Blaney down in 27th. Kyle Busch, a pretty bad 32nd. He's in the bubble right now, and so is Hamlin and Bubba Wallace for the last spot in the playoffs. Now, as well, Truck Series Xfinity action this weekend. Ben Rhodes actually picked up the win on the Truck Series side of things over Dean Thompson, Frankie Muniz, Lane Riggs, and Dalton Sargent. They're all in the top 10, but in the bottom half of the field, you had Marco Andretti, Landon Castle, Timmy Hill, Mason Maggio, as well as Stephen Parsons at the bottom of the grid. The Xfinity Series, and William Sawalich continues to light it up. His now 5th win of the season, as he held off Connor Zilisch on the roads of Road America as well. And you can see AJ Allmendinger in the top 5. Jesse Love rounding out the top 10, and respectable finishes again for Sanchez and Carruth, and all the way at the bottom of the order was Kyle Sieg. Now, let's get ready to go racing on the Cup Series side of things from Road America.
We're road racing for the 3rd time this year. Last week we saw Gary Owen pick up his 2nd win of the year after what was a miserable start to his night in Iowa. Are we starting to see the trend of multi-race winners this year?
Well, we've reached so many winners that we have to start having repeats at this point, Rick. We need to pay attention to the playoff bubble. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Bubba Wallace, all on the bubble right now. It's going to get interesting in the coming weeks.
I agree, Steve. Lots of strategy calls, bold moves, and more aggression will be on the way. Hamlin needs to be looking for a win going into these next few weeks.
Well, James, if we learned anything last week, it's no matter what's thrown at us, we can find a way to win. So a big confidence boost. Let's carry that into today.
I love the confidence. We've been great at road courses this year. Let's keep it up.
You hear James Small mention there, road courses have been great for us. I mean, we've had 2 road races this season, and we finished 2nd in both of them. Sonoma was a 1v1 duel on the last lap with SVG. He got the best of us there. Mid-Ohio, along with SVG, it was looking like it was going to be a 1v1 again, but we both got screwed over with a poor time caution. However, we were able to rally back through the chaos to finish 2nd to our teammate of Christopher Bell, who picked up the win then. What's going to happen today? We start in the middle of the field, and now the green flag is out and we're underway, and you see the green striped tires here for this Goodyear rubber. Today we will be running, like I said last episode, on short tracks, road courses, the green striped Goodyear tire, and then on the super speedways, as well as like a Michigan and a Pocono, you're going to see the blue striped Goodyear tires, and then everywhere else, the normal tracks, the 1.5 miles and whatnot, you're going to see the typical yellow striped Goodyear tires now, and it's all just grip levels now, which is kind of the differences in these different striped tires and whatnot. But through through turn 2 side by side with the 17 of Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher, 1 win on the season here, as we are right to the back of the 38 of Riley Herbst, who had a good qualifying effort. And Front Row Motorsports, they recently got some upgrades and more funding from Ford now that they're shifting away their focus from Stewart-Haas Racing, who just announced last episode that they will be going to Chevrolet, back to Chevrolet, after, of course, leaving them for Ford. Everybody thought they were going to Honda. It made sense. I mean, Honda announced they're coming into the sport, and Stewart-Haas announces they're leaving Ford. It just felt like a match made in heaven to happen. Well, it's not happening, so we still know there's 2 teams that have yet to announce that they will be going to Honda. So I know one of them will be coming soon, as Hamlin has a bit of a moment. And Hamlin, his final time at this track now, of course, in his Cup Series career, and he nearly goes around, but he's in that bubble right now, battling against his own driver right now, Bubba Wallace, to be that final driver in the playoffs. And it'll be interesting, because if Todd Gilliland, with that improved pace, can get into the top 30 in the points, then it's going to be even harder for a guy like Denny Hamlin to make it into the playoffs now. But it's not been a good season for Hamlin as we continue on, and actually going to give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt right there into the kink. You don't want to be sideways into that kink right there. It's really easy to make contact and crash, but look at the speed in this Mobil 1 Toyota Camry, breezing past Hamlin and Bubba Wallace as well. Those two right there together in that bubble battle now to the outside of Chastain, and in just 1 lap we have gotten up from 20th to 13th by the time we reach the final corner. So a great start. William Byron actually got the lead from SVG, so Byron, 1 win on the season, of course, finally snapped that about 80 race winless streak a few episodes ago, as we continue on forward, passing Austin Hill, who's had a good qualifying effort and a good start to this race there. P12 now for him, but we have just marched our way through this grid early on now. And look on the track map, you can see Byron has driven away from everybody, it looks like now. I think SVG might be lacking some pace here today now on the roads of Road America, as we continue to the back now of Alex Spellman. And of course, a big shout out we gave him already for what he did for us in that last episode in Iowa at the end. Now, of course, he took over my ride coming into the season as we went over to the Show Gibbs Racing team, and he's probably been the most respectful colleague driver that we haven't had issues with so far. Of course, we've had issues with Gregson and as well the 31 car. Doesn't matter who's in the 31 car, they're out to get us. But we haven't had any issues really with Chandler Smith either. And Chandler Smith has had a quite impressive rookie season with colleague racing. All their drivers have been pretty bad, but Chandler Smith is actually at least in the bubble talk for making the playoffs, but is really going to have to turn it up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Chandler Smith gets a good opportunity going in next season, because we also know Colleague is selling 2 of their charters, at least have already sold them, I should say. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there for the future of that team. Now look at the confidence we have under braking up the inside of John Hunter Nemechek in the 42, and we continue our march through the field. One of the drivers on the grid here today, Scott McLaughlin, in that 02 Penske Ford Mustang. Now Penske has fielded 4 cars for this race. James Hinchcliffe as well in the field for the 51 car for Rick Ware Racing, but he's a little ways down the order. And as well, forgot to mention, making their Cup debut on this track today for the Andretti team in the 98, Connor Zilish, of course, full-time for Xfinity Series action with Trackhouse Racing. Well, he is in the field in the 98 Andretti car, so we'll see how he does now as we clear McLaughlin and continue our way forward. Crash in the background, actually, that's Chris Buescher, who's gone around on the exit of the kink there. Might have had some contact with Herbst, and more contact. There's Hinchcliffe involved, and the caution's gonna fly. Blaney as well around in the background, and that's gonna end the stage a tad bit early. You see it was contact with Bubba Wallace. He washes into the side of the 23, takes the 38 with him, and then Blaney a few moments later, same situation, goes around off the side of Justin Haley. So the caution is going to be out, and that is going to end stage 1 lap early. William Byron gets the stage win over Kyle Larson. His teammate Shane Van Gisbergen, Bell Reddick, your top 5. We get P8 as we would come in for 4 tires. Nothing to change in terms of adjustments usually at the road courses. Austin Hill gains 4 positions in the pit stop. He's now into the top 10 as we're going to be back underway. If you're the leader at the end of a caution, you're actually at a disadvantage because you're on the left side of the track, and that's William Byron's situation now as stage 2 is underway. And now they head side by side into turn 1. Kyle Larson on the right side there in that red and white Wawa Chevrolet Camaro. He continues wheel to wheel with Byron. I open up that exit a little bit behind the 2311 Alliance teammate there of Tyler Reddick, who's still looking for his first win of the season. Reddick is the highest driver on points right now without a victory, so it's been a very solid season. But Reddick is just a driver we don't see win a lot of races in this career mode, even though he's run well. Kyle Larson has gotten clear for the lead of William Byron. We're side by side with the IndyCar driver of Scott McLaughlin on this long run towards this heavy braking zone. I hit brake quite cautiously into the corner now. McLaughlin's going to lunge one around the outside. In my rear view mirror, you see the Meyer Shank driver of Daniel Suarez. Of course, road courses have been great to Daniel Suarez in the past. His first career win came at Sonoma Raceway, and he has, if you remember earlier in the season when he switched to this Meyer Shank team, ran really well at Sonoma, but that team's been on a bit of an uptick lately. We've seen them running a little bit better because they have had a lot of issues, specifically reliability issues that have put them in the back, but they also just haven't had any speed. We've seen new teams come into the Cup Series recently with 2311, Trackhouse, and they have been competitive teams, but we have seen in this career mode, Meyer Shank comes in, they haven't really shown anything. Andretti Global came in, of course, last season, and they've looked okay. They haven't looked great, but they've been okay. Carson Osevar kind of leading the flagship there. The rookie driver, his teammate of Sammy Smith, hasn't really lived up to expectations yet, and he's certainly nowhere even close to the conversation for the playoffs. However, last episode, he was running well at a few points in that race up in the top 5 in Iowa, so there was some moments where he looked pretty good here. Now, lap 2 of 5, look at the track map. Kyle Larson is gone. Second place is right up there in front of us now as we get right to the back, actually into the back of Scott McLaughlin now, and he's going to go around. McLaughlin loses it off the front bumper of myself.
I am so sorry. Please forward my apologies to him. I did not expect him to slow down that early.
I was not trying to run into the back of the 0-2. It's unfortunate. Fortunately, it was spread out enough. Actually, McLaughlin recovered and got back on track inside the top 10. So it's not over for Scotty Mack, who's been having a pretty solid race for the Thirsty Threes now. As we continue, P6 and just focusing forward, I did what I did. It was an accident. We're just going to move on and focus on the rest of this race here now, at least stage 2. And we were reeling in 5th, 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Byron leads this little train of cars. Kyle Larson's gone. That number 5 looks insane on pace right now as we continue on this run towards turn number 1. 3 laps to go in the stage, and it seems like the AI are having a really difficult time today passing each other. Shane Van Gisbergen's just kind of stuck right now behind that 24. We're going to get to the back of the 9. We'll lunge one around the outside, catch him off guard. They're not really going for a move, so we'll be the one that goes for the move now. As we continue side by side, we'll clear this 9 down this straightaway. So on the run towards the heavy braking zone, though, watch the 9. He's going to absolutely lunge one, brake so late compared to what I was capable of doing now. So we continue wheel to wheel again. That 9 car's stopping power was absolutely insane, and now a bit of a mistake there, and we're going to go wide, and Elliott now takes the position as I nearly lose the rear end and spin the car out, but we save it.
We need to take a look at that 9 car, bro. I mean, he was able to stop so much later than I was.
Yeah, we saw it. It looked interesting, that's for sure.
And now we're going to lunge one back up the inside of the 9 of Elliott, and we'll get wheel to wheel with that Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro as we round through the carousel. He's going to try and fight back here, but I don't think he's going to have enough on the exit of the corner. Our car, I mean, it's so strong. I don't know if we're, strong enough to fight the 5 of Kyle Larson, because, I mean, he continues to drive away. He's about 13 seconds up the road right now as we continue through Canada Corner, my home corner, I guess we could call it, but we continue to reel in 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Our teammate going to be first up to bat to try and overtake here. Christopher Bell didn't quite make a move into that final turn, but down the front straightaway, 2 laps to go in stage 2, we'll swing to the right side now, go wheel to wheel with this DeWalt Toyota Camry now into turn number 1. Leave him plenty of room to work with here now, and hopefully on the exit of turn 1 can light it up now as we continue side by side on the run down towards turn 2. Look at the back of this train now. Daniel Suarez has actually joined the party, so that number 06 car looking very strong, but we clear the 20 of Bell, and now we focus in on Shane Van Gisbergen. We've had the 1v1s with SVG this season at both road courses, but it just doesn't look like Shane's got quite the pace he needs today. I mean, still a great day nonetheless for the 2-time winner this season. Of course, 3 drivers this season have 2 wins. Myself getting our 2nd win last episode, SVG getting his 2nd win in Kentucky, and then Ty Gibbs, who got his 2nd win back in the Coca-Cola 600 now. As we continue side by side into Canada Corner, we should be able to get the job done on the exit there. Bit of a slip from the rear end, so that allows SVG to kind of stay alongside, but we get clear into the penultimate turn. So William Byron maintains P2, coming to the final lap of stage 2. Larson's already started the final lap as we just enter the final turn. A wide exit from the 24, and now there we go, into 2nd place here to start the final lap of stage number 2, and we are just going to drive away from these guys, leave them in the dust. Larson 13.8 seconds ahead as we start the final lap, and that gap would increase, but my gap would increase to the cars behind. So clearly establishing that the two best cars here today are the 5 and myself. So now that we're up to second, I'm curious to see what we can do now that we're actually, you know, right there with Larson, who comes through to win stage number 2 by an absolute long shot. Now we'll round the final turn 14 seconds down the road and head up the elevation. We open up the gap to Byron by 3.6 seconds, so it seems like everybody else is significantly off the pace compared to what the 5 car has and what I have here today. But we get P2 in stage number 2. Obviously not making any adjustments. We were really close on fuel there, and we cannot make it to the end of this race on fuel, so everybody will have to pit. Kyle Busch having a miserable day right now, 36th place. He is going nowhere but backwards. It's not been pretty for him. Ty Gibbs is way off the pace as well. Connor Zilish inside the top 20 here in his Cup Series debut. He is a road ringer, but it doesn't matter. Your first race in the Cup Series, it's going to be a learning curve nonetheless, as we're going to get back underway for the third and final stage. We'll go behind the camera one more time. 9 laps of racing here, so even on a 35% race, there's not a lot of laps. Of course, Road America being such a long circuit, but the question is, well, we see a caution. We saw one yellow with 2 laps to go in stage 1. Larson, though, gets clear on the exit of turn 1. That number 5 Wawa machine looking very strong here as we lunge down into turn 2, just kind of following him, settling in behind him, and I believe we're both just going to drive away from the cars behind. Look at the gap already to William Byron, and I wonder, is it Byron that's slow and there's other cars that are behind him that are quicker but they just can't get past him for whatever reason, or is everybody just kind of like that 24, just not fast enough? I think it's honestly the second option at this point now, because if that 24 was slow enough, everybody would be able to get past him. So I think other drivers just, they've gotten the setups wrong, they've missed it here this weekend outside of myself and the number 5. I find that I always look really intense on the wheel, even when I'm just feeling relaxed and chill, because I can tell you, I did not feel like I was in an intense situation, but looking at it now, it looks like I was quite intense in the moment. But we reel in this number 5 of Kyle Larson, and I said it at the end of stage 2, I think we do have the pace maybe to stick with him. It's just about being with him, and that stage reset was the opportunity to get with him. Here we go, out of the final turn, coming to the end of lap 1 in stage number 2, or stage number 3, sorry, and we are all over the back of that number 5. We'll get some draft, we'll swing to the right side by side for the lead with Kyle Larson. 1 win on the season for that number 5, and here we go on the run down towards turn number 1, the Chicagoland Speedway winner tries to keep it around the outside, and he's going to be successful. Larson stays there, but now here we go, pulling back on his right rear, and on the run down towards turn 2, we'll continue side by side. We're going to give him the room. Larson's always ran us quite respectfully, so we're going to keep it respectful with him, but we get clear into the lead here in Road America. Less than 10 laps to go, but we know Larson's strong. He comes back at us into the braking zone on the apex side by side again. He takes the lead back as we go a little bit wide and overshoot the exit now. So Larson back out in front here from Road America as we continue to just follow him now. And over the course of the rest of this lap through the carousel, we're right to the back of this number 5 again. We have both just completely driven away from everybody behind us now. It's not even a contest. It's all between myself and the 5. To the left side again as we head down towards that right bend kink. We're going to back out of it. Don't want to go side by side through there. Well, most certainly always almost lead to contact. So we settle back in and get the run down towards Canada Corner. Larson backs out. He lets us through. To the lead we go here again in Road America now as he lunges right back to my right rear. That number 5 under braking is so strong, and we saw it with the 9, and we're seeing it with the 5. The 200 cars looking very, very strong under braking, which is just a little bit interesting now as we continue to fight with this 5. He lunges again on the brakes, but we get through and stay clear of Kyle Larson. But the battle is not over. He continues to humble me and keep me, of course, looking at my mirror and just paying attention to where he is now, as we now again side by side. Larson back up the left side, but as we go to the right-hander, he has that awkward line. We stay ahead for the time being. How much longer can we hold off this 5? Can we drive away from him now that we've gotten clear in a good position? I don't know if we're going to be able to drive away from him. He is just so good here now down towards Canada Corner. We have opened up a several car length gap, but you can see as we come towards the end of lap 17, he's just able to kind of keep staying there, keep me looking in my rear view mirror, just making sure that I don't get away from that Wawa machine. But we're also not far away from green flag pit stops. Lap 18 down into the heaviest braking zone on the circuit. Look at the 5. What a move of the inside. Larson retakes the lead.
I don't know what kind of brake package they got, but it can't be legal.
My goodness, that's something I think hopefully our radio chatter is going to, be something that NASCAR takes note of going into the next couple of races or weeks, because there's something going on there, but we at least stay with the 5 of Kyle Larson. It's not game over now as we continue putting pressure on the back of him. However, I mean, over the rest of this lap, Larson, he's starting to open up a gap, so it's almost like we've hit a turnover point where the tires maybe are wearing and the 5's taking advantage, because look at this as we come into turn 2. I mean, the gap's not big at all, but it's clearly starting to favor the 5. He's starting to pull away a half a second between himself and myself, and it's just a gap that was continuing to increase here now, and you can see Larson's driving away as the fuel light now comes on. 2 laps of fuel in the car. We've learned our lesson from stretching out a run before, and we learned that in Mid-Ohio, so we're going to come into the pits no matter what at the end of this lap. No matter what Larson does, he might try and stretch it one more lap, because they can go one more lap if they please, but I think we're just going to come in here and we somehow actually get back to the 5, so it's not game over yet, but now we're going to get up his inside even, and even if he wants to pit, he's not going to be able to, but he actually gets clear, but he stays out. So we come in, we'll head into the pits here now with 4 laps to go once we cross the stripe, and the call is going to be simple. 2 tires and just enough fuel to get us to the end. So it'll be 4 laps to go, and we'll have 4 laps of fuel. So it's going to get interesting. We're kind of banking on overtime as well, but it's been a pretty clean race. So it'll be 8 seconds of just in the pit box. So we'll get back going, and we're going to cycle out here. P12 on track, and I think we're going to be leading, honestly, once this cycles through. Larson and everybody will be pitting at the end of this lap. Actually, a majority of cars are pitting right now. Kyle Larson, however, will be coming in at the end of this lap. Now up the inside of Alex Bowman, having still a great run in that number 16, but we'll pass him. And at the end of this lap, look at the 5. Kyle Larson still stationary in the pit lane. We are going to pass at number 5 and take the lead. So Larson has put 4 tires on, and that's what everybody else has done, is 4 tires, while we have done just 2 tires. So our gap to Kyle Larson is going to be about 8 seconds, and there you see it, 8 seconds on the top left, but 20 seconds plus to Suarez, Van Gisberg, and Chase Elliott from 3rd to 5th. The pace of those guys has been so far off what myself and Larson have done, but we're just banking on it staying green. We got 3 laps of field coming to 2 laps to go. We don't want to see a caution. Larson trying to chase us now, but I don't think he has enough time. We got 2 cars off track. That's the rookie of Zilish in his debut, and the caution will fly in Road America. Not what we wanted to see, and you see the replay. Zilish no brakes into the corner, runs through the back of Austin Hill, and that's a big shunt there, and the caution is out. And another look at it, a big impact into the barrier, just no stopping from that 98, and the caution is out.
Okay, so we're good for 2 laps. Not by much, but if we get another yellow, we'll be in trouble.
Yeah, 10-4. Hopefully no caution here.
Larson has 4 fresh tires too, so be aware of that.
Another reason we didn't want to see a caution is because Kyle Larson will now be right with us on 4 fresh tires compared to my 2 fresh tires. Left side's being the most worn now, so this is going to be a fight. No matter what, green flag is back out, and it's going to be 2 laps of racing here from Road America now, and we have just enough fuel to get to the end of this race right now, and that left rear tire is also a concern. It's at 21% and wearing quickly, as now Larson up the inside. He might get us on the exit of turn 1. He's got those 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Now we continue wheel to wheel down the elevation into turn number 2, and the fuel light hasn't come on yet, which is a great sign. We know we're going to be okay. There it goes. Now that's not the fuel light, that's the tire light that's on. That's the alert for the tires. The left rear is now at 20% wear. We are going to have to pay attention to that. But now we get clear of Larson. If it goes green to the end, we can get this tire to the end, so that's not a concern. Now into the braking zone. Larson's going to run into the back of us. Larson moves us out of the way, and on the exit, he's going to run us wide as well. And now off track we go. We keep it on and maintain P2.
Get him back.
Working on it.
Larson in command. He got physical. He ran into the back of us and then doored us on the exit of the corner. We stay ahead of Suarez now. If it stays green, we can get there. And now through the kink, this is the point of concern for not only myself, but for everybody. A good run to the back of the 5. Can we get to him on the run? Down into Canada corner. That's the big question. Crash in the back, Cindric, and into the side of him goes the 34, the 38, 99, several crashing. The big one strikes on a road course. Logano in the background as well crashes, and several cars are piled in as the 38 backs across the track, and the caution is out. Not what we needed. The 2 loses it, paddling with the 31 of AJ Allmendinger, and then in the background to follow was a 22 on the back of the 3, and the caution flies. Worst case scenario in Road America.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but no matter what here, just stay out and see if we can get to the white flag and get another caution.
Yeah, 10-4. If we pit, we wouldn't have enough time to get forward, and if we stay out, we just need to hope for a yellow.
We're screwed no matter what. We need a caution basically as soon as the white flag starts. I don't see how that's going to happen, but I mean, we would be able to maybe rally up to 20th if we pit for 4 tires and go back racing now. The field light's on. We cannot even make it on field. We're just trying to get to the white and get a caution, and now we head down towards turn number 1 side by side with Kyle Larson now into this first corner. Here we go, and even though we had that bit of contact, I still don't have anything for him. I slide, so even if I wanted to shove him wide, I couldn't. He clears me before we even hit the exit now, trying to stick with him, and that 5 is driving away, and that left rear is down to 10% and quickly going down 9% now into the braking zone. Too deep into the corner. Daniel Suarez up the inside into second place as we continue to slip and slide. Somehow maintain P3 is 4th and 5th are side by side between SVG, Chase Elliott as well. Daniel Suarez is going to try and run down Kyle Larson in these closing moments here now as we come through Canada corner. 2% down on the left rear now. It's not going to make it one lap around. 1%, and as we come through the final turn, we slide 0%. Left rear tire down as we come to the white flag, and we're forced into the pit lane instead. Kyle Larson and Daniel Suarez run off in the distance, and it's an absolute disastrous end. And I mean, it all comes down to, as I actually speed into the pit lane, by the way, it all comes down to not electing to take 4 tires and spend extra time in the pit lane. Kyle Larson would run away with the win here in Road America, holding off Daniel Suarez, his 2nd win of the season. Another driver to get another win on the season. And look at the gap they had to Chase Elliott on back. SVG, Christopher Bell, Scott McLaughlin in the top 10, the part-time driver in that 3rd Penske, or the 4th Penske car, of course, as we eventually round this final turn. And a disappointing turn of events after that win in Iowa. We thought we might win back-to-back races, get win number 3. Instead, it's going to be P37 as we head up the hill to the line and cross the checkered. Very disappointing, to say the least. A great finish for Daniel Suarez, but it's Larson who gets to burn it down and celebrate his 2nd win on the season, the 4th driver to do so this season. As you see the finishing order on your screen, McLaughlin P6, Briscoe in the top 10 as well, and Zane Smith, the rookie, for the 21. A great day for them. Denny Hamlin, P11. He gained significant points over Bubba Wallace, and I believe that's going to put him in the playoffs because he entered this race 10 points below Bubba, so he should be now in the playoffs. Kyle Busch ends up 28th, one of his better running moments of the race, and Logano outside the top 30. Connor Zilish in his debut 31st, not great. LaJoy 36th, of course, us at the bottom there in 37th. Looking at the playoff grid, however, Larson actually catapults to the top of the playoff grid while we run P2, and Hamlin, sure enough, into the playoffs now, 10 points ahead of Bubba Wallace. Gilliland still trying to get into that top 30. Kyle Busch loses a good chunk of points and now becomes a under threat driver to getting eliminated here, being out of the playoffs with under 10 races to go in the regular season. I'll see you guys in the next episode where hopefully we can rebound from our mistakes in Pocono. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.